to spend my life mending broken people. I want to spend my life removing pain. Lord, let my words heal a heart that hurts. I want to spend my life mending broken people. I want to spend my life mending broken people.
Well, hello, friends and family. This is Idalia Dinzey, and this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Amen. Today is a gift from God, and during this program, we want to bless your life through the ministry of Light Ministries, because we are presenting some special recipes for you and your loved ones, and we're doing some vegan recipes. So if you are tuning in for the first time, we invite you to just grab a pen or pencil, grab something to write down some tips that we're going to be sharing with you throughout this hour. Well, our guest today is Carin Lynch, and she's no stranger to you, so no stranger to me either. Right. So welcome back, Carin.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Idalia. I appreciate it.
Are you having fun at Light Ministries?
Oh, and always, always. We have a good time wherever we go. Praise the Lord.
Wonderful. Tell us, what is Light Ministries?
Well, Light is the Lay Institute for Global Health Training. And what we do is, my husband and I are North American division directors for Light. And what we do is we actually go to churches in the U.S., Canada, Bermuda. If you're in Bermuda, we'd be happy to go to Bermuda. How's that? But we are, what we do is we travel and we do health emphasis programs. We do cooking schools. What we do is we try to excite the church and get them on board to take health ministries to reach people for the kingdom of God in their community.
And that is a great help to even our church members, to our family members, because sometimes we are stuck in the same recipes, or maybe your doctor has said, you know what, your cholesterol is too high, you need to make changes.
That's right.
And once someone is diagnosed with a condition, your world comes crumbling apart. But what am I going to eat? You know, what am I going to prepare now? So we go in this forensic, well, the people that suffer of those illnesses. So here, this is a tool for you. We're wanting to mend broken people. We want to bring peace to your heart, because the Lord has impressed the hearts of the ministry of Light Ministries, as well as your heart, to present these recipes. This is not just any recipe. There's a purpose here, and the purpose is to help you along the way to make changes. Small changes bring big results, right?
Exactly. And you know, it's a journey, Idalia.
Yes.
It is, you know, we start and we make these changes, and as we go along, we continue to progress.
That's right.
And so it really, but it's a journey for all of us always.
Amen. Well, are you folks ready to find out what the menu is for this hour? I sure am. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Very good. So we're going to do a Mexican made simple menu.
That's right.
So what is the first recipe that we're making out of a group of recipes that we're going to be sharing? As you can see on your screen, our first recipe is going to be this roasted tomato salsa. As you can see, it looks delicious, and you can serve it with your chips, your favorite chips. And we have another option for you, which is the corn and black bean salsa. Doesn't that look colorful? Oh my, it looks so appetizing. So we're gonna follow up with some taco seasoning, no MSG, no sugars, all natural. You're in for a treat. Let's bring that flavoring in with this soy curl fajitas. I know your mouth is watering by now, and we are going to have fun during this hour showing you how to make this these delicious fajitas. We continue on to accompany the dish with cilantro lime rice. Yes, Aisha said cilantro lime rice. Curious recipe and delicious. We're going to accompany our rice with some refried beans, and these have no oil. So if you are watching and listening, yes, I said refried beans with no oil. What are we going to do with it? We'll show you. And of course, we're going to finish with a traditional drink, Mexican drink with the famous horchata. So this is the rice horchata that they make in Mexico, and they usually accompany it with their meals. So don't forget, grab your pens and papers so you can write down some tips and information that is going to be very useful for you. If you have a phone, take a picture of the screen. But we're going to offer you the recipes by going to our 3abn.tv website, or you can download our app, 3ABN Plus, and you will have access to all the programs there and also the recipes. But we're also going to encourage you. Later on in the program, we're going to share the contact information for our chef, Carin Lynch, because she does have a cookbook. That's right. Tell me, how exciting was this cookbook to put it together?
Oh, we had so much fun doing it. I had a great team that worked with me, and we had a wonderful time.
Amen. Well, without further ado, we're going to get our hands busy now in the kitchen. So we're going to go to the first recipe. Would you please read the recipe for our viewers at home, and let's launch into the kitchen.
Absolutely. Okay, our first recipe is going to be the roasted tomato salsa. We're going to start with 6 medium tomatoes cubed, 1 onion quartered, 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, 1 teaspoon of olive oil, 3 to 4 tablespoons of chopped cilantro, 2 to 3 tablespoons of fresh lime juice, and 1 teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt.
Excellent. Well, you just said one salt there that is not common in some places.
That's true.
Himalayan salt, where does that come from? I mean, we've heard of sea salt and table salt, iodine.
That's right.
Salt, I mean, so many different types of salt.
Well, Himalayan pink salt is actually a sea salt, but it's a mined sea salt.
Yes.
And I like to use Himalayan pink salt because it's mined about 5,000 feet below sea level. And what happens is that, you know, we get a pure salt. It's about 99.9% pure. So it really has a lot of minerals in it. It's got about 84 trace minerals in it, which trace minerals are what we need for our body. We need to take from our foods. Our body doesn't make minerals. And so this is why it's important. You know, other salts, you know, I think about sea salt was very popular. And traditional sea salt, you know, was probably about 20 years ago, traditional sea salt became pretty, you know, popular. But what happened is that these big companies started over-processing it, and now they've really found out something called microplastics. Have you ever heard of microplastics?
No, I never have.
Microplastics are actually plastic that we ingest through either the environment or through, you know, in eating foods. And so what happens is that there's a lot of dumping in the oceans. And so we get these residual plastics in our body. We eat about approximately a credit card's worth of plastic a week.
Oh, wow.
A week.
And there's no funding in then.
No, it's not the credit card, sadly. It is just the plastic's worth.
Exactly.
And so that's the hard part. We have to realize. And that's not good for our system, obviously.
As you can see, we have a lot of information for you. She is available to go to your community, your church, to teach you more and more about different information about health and recipes. But right now, we're going to get our hands to the plow here for the roasted tomato salsa.
That's right.
So what do we do?
Well, we're going to take, first of all, we're going to take our tomatoes. And we've just chopped some tomatoes here. And I'm just going to spread them out on a baking sheet here.
Oh, it's interesting. You didn't, when do you put the oil on
I'm actually going to, why dirty an extra bowl? Usually I just chop and throw, but here we had them already chopped.
Excellent.
So I don't hate to, my cookbook is plant-based made simple. It is not just simple foods, but it's simply prepared, simple ingredients.
That's perfect.
So simple, nutritious, and delicious. My catchphrase. All right, we're going to take some onions. We've just taken an onion here, and I'm going to mix that up, and some garlic. We're going to roast these in the oven.
I love garlic.
Now what I do is I'll just take about a tablespoon of oil.
Excellent. That looks so good.
And so vibrant. You know, the tomatoes are so good. You know, the one thing nice about tomatoes, we want to incorporate tomatoes in our diet because they're a wonderful antioxidant, especially because of the lycopene. And so what I'm doing is I'm just getting this all stirred up and ready to go here. And what we'll do is we'll stick this in the oven to roast.
Okay, so we're going to roast it and tell us what degree and stuff.
About 400 degrees,
Okay.
about 20 minutes or so.
All right.
You could just check. You want to make sure that the onions may be starting to actually, you know, just about, you see them that they're soft and that the tomatoes have started breaking down.
Okay.
About 20 minutes, 25 you
Okay.
could do too.
Okay.
So we're going to stick this in, but I'm also going to take
Your
this with
hot
me
pads.
because we already have.
To the oven. That's right. Nice. So this is a quick salsa. I mean, when we go to the restaurants and we're like, oh, this salsa tastes good, but we can just prepare our very own at home, and it's got no vinegar, no sugars,
Right.
no MSG. What else do they put in that?
Oh, you
we
know,
need to learn to read the labels, actually.
Exactly.
if
You have to
ask
be,
me.
you know, in this day and age, you really need to be a good label reader. And so
Right.
this is
I need to improve on that.
the nice thing about this though is that everything is so completely fresh.
Yes.
And it's so simple. I mean, it's really just chop and blend. And
Okay.
so what
So-
we're going to do is we're going to try to scoop some of this
Grab the
up here.
pan with you.
Yep.
All right.
We're going to scoop this right into our blender.
Yes.
It's nice to have a high-speed blender too.
Oh,
when
yes.
you're doing plant-based cooking, your blender, I always say, is your best friend in the kitchen. Now, my husband, on the other hand, will argue that and say, who's your best friend in the kitchen? And I have to correct that every time and tell people,
Your
it's my
husband.
second best friend in the kitchen. And let me tell you something, I
right.
have to tell you that he is my
Yes.
best friend in the kitchen
Amen.
because we couldn't do what we do on the road and do all the programs that we do, the
Yes.
health programs, not just cooking. We do a lot of different programs, disease and
right.
treatment and medical
Wow.
missionary work. We do a lot.
Wonderful.
So,
I'm glad that you brought that in because, and you mentioned that because as you can see, this is a family ministry.
Amen.
So it takes the family. If the wife is trying to make changes, and then you know your wife needs to make changes for her health, support her. And the wives at home that say, oh, honey, I'll just give you this, you should settle for that. No, you're not going to settle for that. You are investing in your family. So please take this seriously. We are a team. And the Lord blessed you with a family, and you're responsible for your family. So let's read labels and let's encourage each other and support each other.
Amen.
So my best friend in the kitchen is my husband and my boys too. So, all right, so we have the blender. What are we
so
going to
easy.
do now?
So I'm going to ask you if you want to just take our cilantro. We have our
Yes.
cilantro.
Ooh,
we can put that in
cilantro.
there.
Yes, and what is cilantro good for?
Cilantro is actually very helpful in taking heavy metals out of our system.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah.
that. And this is fresh lime juice?
Fresh lime.
I'm hungry already.
And then some Himalayan pink salt.
Himalayan pink salt.
Now,
That's
the
right.
one thing about Himalayan pink salt, though, I do have to say is that we have to be careful with iodine because
Yes.
Himalayan pink salt, although has a trace amount of iodine, it does not have enough to really support good thyroid health.
That's right.
So what I do is I actually buy a good quality iodized sea salt, and I mix that in. So I mix in like about a quarter cup to 3/4 of a cup, just to give myself enough iodine. And I am not iodine deficient, so praise God, right?
Wonderful,
So
wonderful.
I want to make sure that this is on low.
Yes, it
and
is
we
on
want to
low.
start, and we're just going to blend this until we get,
Okay,
make
go
sure
for
that
it.
We'll
It's
start.
plugged in. I
Yeah,
put
we're
it
good.
really low.
And we,
There we go. Oh, yeah.
we just want to make sure that the garlic, gets blended well.
Nice.
And
I love
there we go.
garlic, raw garlic. There are some people that say, oh, I don't want raw garlic. Well, there are some benefits to the garlic because it's the European antibiotic, right?
Yeah, exactly. Allicin is the chemical in there, the phytochemical in.
So are you
the
ready
garlic.
to pour?
There we go. I'm left-handed, so this worked out perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You are left-handed.
We'll get that
Is
in
this
there.
good?
We'll get it in there. Now, if you want, you can put more tomatoes in it if you want it a little more tomatoey. It's
And
really,
for people that don't like the cilantro, can we put like flat leaf
well, that's
parsley?
exactly what I
Okay.
I like to say any of the recipes that we're doing today, cilantro is really an herb that in Mexican cuisine,
Yes.
you're going to see a lot. So what I would tell you is, if you don't like cilantro, and what they say is that it's kind of a hereditary thing, that you either love cilantro or you hate cilantro. And so if you don't love cilantro like I love cilantro, well, then you can add fresh flat leaf parsley.
Excellent, excellent. And if you want to make the recipe and invite us over, we'll be happy to sit and chat a while.
Of course, of course.
Well, we are ready for the next recipe. It's a salsa. So please share the recipe with us.
Okay, so our next recipe is going to be the corn and black bean salsa.
Oh yeah.
This is almost like a salad, actually.
I know.
So, all right, so we have 1 1/4 cups of fresh or frozen corn, or if you had a can of corn, you could use that too, just make sure you drain it. You want 1 1/2 cups of cooked black beans, or 1 can of black beans, but you need to rinse them and drain them. 4 plum tomatoes, you want to take the seeds out of the tomatoes and chop them. 1/2 of medium red onion and chop that. 1 bunch of fresh cilantro, minced. 1 to 2 limes, juiced. That is about 2 to 4 tablespoons. Himalayan pink salt to taste. And then you can garnish it with an avocado. You just cube that up and pop that on the top.
And that's all that we need for this delicious salsa, colorful and all. You have protein, you have grain. What do we have?
Well, we're going to start with some corn. Now, the thing is that I, in the recipe, say, oh, you can use fresh corn, which would be the best. But is fresh corn always available? It's seasonal. No, it's seasonal.
Exactly.
So I recommend, if you don't have the fresh corn, obviously, to use like a frozen corn. And the reason why is because when you buy frozen foods, they're flash frozen at the peak of freshness, right? And the second thing is that you can buy organic. And you know, the sad part is that corn is one of those vegetables that basically is genetically modified, about 88% genetically modified. So we're going to start with the corn. We'll put that in.
Let's put some color in your life,
That's right.
sister.
This is very festive. I find Mexico, I love Mexican cooking. I love Mexican culture because it's so festive. So we've got our black beans.
All right.
And I'm going to put these in.
This is what I call the dump it recipes.
Yes, of course. And our tomatoes, here you go.
Yes.
You can take those for me.
Dump the tomatoes. Very good. So we have red, we have black, we have yellow.
Now they call this red onion, but it's purple in my book. I don't know why they call it red onion.
I've been wondering that too, Chef Carin. Why on earth do we call it red onions?
But now here we're going with our green.
Oh my, look at that color. Beautiful. All of it?
Yeah, put it all in.
Hey, I love cilantro. So I am not Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican, but we also use a lot of cilantro in our cuisine.
Yes, and in Latino cooking you find that a lot, and also in Asian as well. But I find more in Indian, but I find more in Latino culture.
This is beautiful.
And then of course we're going to make our dressing, which is really just going to be some lime juice.
Just lime juice?
Yeah, this is fresh lime.
Oh, my mouth got watery, and our friends at home are saying the same thing. All right.
And of course our Himalayan pink salt. Let me make sure this is nice and we're going to sprinkle that in, and you can go ahead and mix that up.
Toss it. Very
and then
nice.
I let this kind of marinate for, you know, a couple hours in the refrigerator to really get the lime juice and the salt really melding those flavors together.
Well, because of the lime juice, I just don't want to wait for it
you don't have to
marinate.
It's very nice and fresh. But
I want to dig right in.
You can do it. But the one thing I do at the end is I don't put my avocado. I like avocado, and there's so many good health benefits about avocado.
Okay. Well, talk to us about it.
Avocado, the first thing is that it's actually a fruit. It is not a vegetable, and in some cultures they actually eat it sweet. When I do some raw cooking, I will do like a Carib avocado mousse, and it's made with avocados and it's raw, but that is sweet. But this is going to be on a savory way. The nice thing about avocado is monosaturated fats. Monosaturated fats are good for heart health. And so this is wonderful for that. Lots of potassium. Do you know avocados have more potassium in them than a banana?
What?
Yeah, totally. So
I never heard that before, but thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, and another thing that people don't realize is avocados have so much fiber in them. It's like 70-something% fiber, but it's insoluble fiber and soluble fiber.
Wonderful.
So we've got both. So I like to
You're such a great teacher. I'm so thankful the Lord brought us together.
Well, God is good.
Here.
I think, you know, I think that when I do cooking schools and when I do programs, I just put these on top and let people dip in.
Yeah. It's more like a garnishing
Yep,
touch.
exactly.
So-
I should have probably waited till I put it in our dish here. But the thing about it is I think that education, we should educate.
It's never too late, Chef Carin. If you allow me, please.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to take a couple of these avocado pieces. See,
And
this
then we can
will
put
happen
up.
at
There we
home
go.
too. We are very down to home here in the kitchen.
Of course.
And in our family, when people come to visit, we don't leave the kitchen table. We're just visiting
sit
at the
in it.
table.
That's right.
And if you come and I'm cooking, I'm going to put you to work too. 'Cause
All
it's
right.
fun to share recipes.
We're just gonna
Yes.
put this right in our dish here, and then we
Perfect.
can.
Look how beautiful that is. The Lord is
Amen.
good.
Isn't that? I mean, He's given us so many, and you know, the colors of the foods are going to give us so many different phytochemicals, phytonutrients. So we're going to have all of those here, and then we can just put those avocados
Yes.
on top, and
Yes. Ooh, wee.
there we go.
That looks really good.
And there, and you know, I like to say this is great with chips, of course, but you could eat this as a salad.
That's
on the
right.
side, you know, you can have like a nice, fresh salad before you get your meal started.
Wonderful. Well, guys, I'm so excited. I'm learning with you, and praise the Lord that He has made provision for all of our needs. We're going to continue to our next recipe. And now, what's the next recipe? What are we making?
Okay,
Read
so
the recipe
our
for
next
us.
recipe is just going to be taco seasoning. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of paprika, or you could use smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of cumin, 1 tablespoon of coriander, and these are ground cumin and ground coriander, 1 tablespoon of Himalayan pink salt, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, and 2 teaspoons of ground oregano.
Let's put some flavor in your life, I would say. This taco seasoning, is it a basic taco seasoning that we multi-use?
It is, and in fact, I make this and then I keep it in a little jar so I can use it, you know, at home. Because there's a few things when we're purchasing things outside. You know, when we were talking about reading ingredients, right? Well, there are things like MSG, high sodium, and something that's in a lot of you know, taco seasonings and seasonings like that are chilies. Now, I'm not putting any kind of chili powder or anything in here. And the reason why is because chilies are really actually can have an adverse effect on like our stomach mucosa. It can also, you know, it can affect our gastrointestinal system. And so basically, they've done a study actually in Mexico City where they studied people, and stomach cancer is a high rate of people who eat a lot of chilies. And so I don't put chili powder in my taco seasoning. So
now you said MSG. What is MSG, and what's the big deal about MSG?
Monosodium glutamate. You know, our body actually, a lot of foods have something called glutamate in it, which is an amino acid. But monosodium glutamate, when they concentrate it like that, is an excitotoxin, and it's dangerous for our health, really. And so we want to stay away from that. It's a food enhancer, and a lot of cultures use it, but we really should stay away from it.
Okay, let's stay away
all
from
right.
MSG.
That's right, and the chilies. So we have
And
no
the
chilies in
chilies.
here.
Okay,
So we're going to
thank
start
you.
with, this is smoked paprika, but you could use regular paprika if you'd like. But I like a little bit of the smoky flavor in there. So we're going to use a little smoky paprika.
Yes,
I have some cumin
Oh, yes, I use cumin a lot in my
and some coriander. Ground coriander.
And what is coriander? Is the cilantro seeds.
Cilantro, that's right.
All grounded up.
It's ground cilantro. And we have the Himalayan pink salt again.
Yes,
Of course, we're
that's
putting
right.
that in. And of course, you can adjust your salt. If you're on a lower sodium diet, adjust
Very
the
good.
salt.
I'm glad you mentioned
you know,
that.
I always say a recipe is a
formula.
guide. Well, it's a guide, really. You know, you look at that and you decide, you make it how your family would
That's
like it.
right.
And what's best for you.
What your needs are.
That's right. And here is some garlic powder. Well, let's get this all ground up a little bit here.
Garlic powder. Well, you know, I have some friends that really cannot tolerate garlic or onion.
Yeah. So then, you know
so
what?
what is that? Is that
This is actually onion powder.
Onion
So we're going
powder.
to use onion powder here.
Okay.
But then again, if they can't tolerate that, or if I don't know, sometimes people can't tolerate the vegetable itself, but they can tolerate the seasoning. But if they can't, this is something that they can adjust with something else.
Wonderful.
And then I'm using some oregano.
Oregano, ground oregano.
Ground oregano. And so let's put
As
these out of the
simple
way.
as that, huh?
And we're done. Look at, just mix this up.
Wow.
And this is great because it makes a good amount. And you can put this right in I put in a little mason jar. And I have it for any time I want a little Mexican flair or just these flavors, and you just mix that up, and you've got...
So you can use it for your Mexican-style lasagna with the tortillas and the fillings. And
exactly.
You can make it for your tacos, and you can
whatever.
Make it.
I put it in a lot of different things.
I
do a Southwestern tofu scramble, and I just sprinkle it on top right before I serve it, and
that sounds good.
Oh, it's so good.
Very
All right, here we go, and then there is our taco seasoning.
Well, this recipe is like a trampoline into the next recipe.
That's right, because we're going to be using this.
Yes, we're going to go and cook. We're going to get that pan out, and we're going to make some soy curl fajitas. What do we need for that?
Okay, so for our soy curl fajitas, we're going to use 1 red pepper. We're going to slice it into strips.
Okay.
Also a green pepper sliced into strips, and 1 onion sliced into strips. We have a 1/2 cup of water, and we divide that because we may not use it all. 1½ cups of dried soy curls, and 1 cup of water, 3 tablespoons of chicken-style seasoning, and 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning. 4 large or 6 to 8 small whole wheat tortillas, and then for your toppings, you can use some salsa, guacamole, or some plant-based sour cream.
Well, let's take our class on assembling some fajitas. Let's make these delicious soy curl fajitas.
Sure. I'm going to start with the soy curls. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with soy curls, but soy curls are they're just dehydrated soybeans.
Right.
Just mashed soybeans, and the nice thing about these soy curls is that you can use them in almost any kind of chicken or meat alternative preparation. Absolutely. So we'll get them started. I'm going to stick them in.
Yes.
Along with some water because we need to rehydrate them. And I'm going to season them right in the pan here. I'm going to use some chicken-style seasoning, which is just basically some herbs put together and some seasonings put together to give almost like a chicken brothy kind of flavor. And that'll kind of flavor them when they absorb. And we'll also mix that up here a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to actually put the taco seasoning right in.
Oh, yes. So how long do you let it simmer for?
You know, you can, what you want to do, it usually takes about 10 minutes to hydrate, but you can, it actually, since we're going to saute them a little bit with our vegetables, that we don't need to have them, it doesn't need 10 minutes. We really just need to get them softened. So I'm going to start then with our vegetables. And we have our red pepper. So we have out there. Our green and our white. And you want to know why I chose these colors? Why?
Because it's Mexican flag colors.
She's got it. You got it.
I'm on it.
And that's why. So I'm going to get this. But the funny thing is, as you notice, I am not using any oil. What I'm going to do is add some water.
That's right.
And you know, people always say, how are you going to saute with water? Well, I'm going to let you know that the interesting thing is that I started not using oil when I learned a little bit about what happens when we raise the temperature of oil.
Okay, now you've created curiosity. What happens when we raise the temperature of oil?
Okay, well, this is the thing. Oil has a smoke point, and every oil has a different temperature of which it starts to smoke. When we use oils, it molecularly breaks down, and what happens is it becomes a carcinogen. And so we don't want to cause cancer-causing agents and free radicals in our body. And so, and there's another thing too that's very interesting. When we cook oil and it starts to smoke, it's very toxic fumes. And these toxic fumes are cancer-causing as well. In fact, they did a study in China, and this study was women who did a lot of cooking in the wok. And you know, woks are very high temperature.
Yes, that's right.
And what happens is when they did that, they found that these women had extremely high lung cancer.
Wow.
And so there's a couple reasons why we don't want to do that. Especially also too, when we fry foods, we get extra calories, and fat calories are higher than, you know, carbohydrates or proteins.
That's right.
So.
And plus, you at home, you know, if you suffer of acid reflux, it may be that the grease you're putting in your food is provoking some of that. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a health coach or anything, but I do notice that when people eat greasy food, I cannot eat greasy food because it does not settle well with me or my husband. And even my children, they're like, Mom, this kind of had too much grease. And I said, don't eat it. Don't eat it. I prefer to make something else, or buy something else and eat healthy. So
That's right.
little changes, big results.
That's
Remember
right.
that. Small steps. Don't be overwhelmed. Be encouraged. You're not alone in this walk. We're all together. And that's what 3ABN is for, to help you along the way. And that is why Chef Carin is here. And don't forget, she does have a recipe book. So I will give you the information later on in the program. So remember that. Okay, I'm done talking. Let's go back to the frying pan.
Now, the one thing that you have to notice, though, when you're learning to saute
Yes.
with, I'm just stirring these.
With water?
When you're sauteing with water, you have to understand that water absorbs and oil
That's right.
doesn't.
Evaporates.
You know, like evaporates, excuse me. And so, thank you. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you keep, you know, an eye on it to make that it doesn't, you know, start to burn or anything.
Right.
You know, I find that
Well, when you shake it like that, I just want to see those vegetables being tossed in there, you know, like those. No.
You want me to do it?
No. Well,
I can, but I won't.
just getting inspired here in
That's
the kitchen
right.
with you.
And well, you know, the thing is, I also want to say about the oil. I learned, like, I grew up in an Italian household, and my mother was, I mean, we grew up on garlic, olive oil, onions, pasta. These are things that are, you know,
Manja.
exactly, all the time. And so, but it's interesting because my mother, with the olive oil, glug, 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 she didn't, you know, didn't measure. She just plugged it in. And when I started realizing about the health benefits of doing a little more natural and without the oil, I've learned to do my vegetables in water. I have a freshness, a crispness. I also know that when you use the oil, it just, like I said, it ladens things with too much oil. But the olive oil flavor in some cooking is important. And so what I do is I add it at the end.
Oh.
So I'm just going to add a little more water here.
Here, that sizzle.
Yep. And we're just going to, see, and you just use your judgment when you're looking.
The next television coming to you is
That's right.
Smell-o-vision.
That's right.
So you can smell this
Don't you wish that they could smell this, right?
Yes,
'Cause
well, in some channels, yes, of course.
There
the
you
vegan
go.
cuisine, yes.
All right.
Delicious.
So if you see, I've hydrated.
Oh, yes.
I've
that
got
looks
this.
really
So I'm actually
good.
going to stick them right
Hold on
in.
right there. Let's see that on camera. I
Can you
want
see?
the people at home to make sure they see how that soy curl is hydrated. And it didn't take long at all.
No.
This is chicken in the place of chicken, right?
Exactly.
Soy curl is a protein, and it's a vegan soy protein.
You could use actually
right, let's do this.
a beef style seasoning and make this more like a beef fajita too.
You know what? I am just ready to taste this. Come on.
All right, we're working on it. We're working. All right, so I have this here, and I just mix them in
Yes.
with
that looks
my
delicious.
vegetables, and then we have our
Nice.
everything put together. And this will kind of also like dry out the soy curls a little bit because they're very moist because they've absorbed all that water, and this will kind of just give them a little bit better texture. So that's why I put them right in the pan.
Right. It looks great. It looks amazing.
It's so vibrant, right? The colors.
Yes.
Like I said before, I love Mexico. I love Mexican cooking. Everything is so festive and
Yes.
colorful. We need to add color to our life, right?
And I love it when I'm in the kitchen with Chef Carin because that means I'm going to get to taste this after the program.
That's right.
Delicious.
That's the blessing, right?
Yes. Very nice. So
Anyway.
you don't want it dry up too much.
No,
right?
we don't. We're gonna-
And as far as the texture of the vegetable is their personal
Exactly. You could
preference.
cook them a little longer. I happen to like things with a
Crunch.
little crunchy. You want to bring me that bowl? We're going to
Oh, yes.
stick that right in there, and then we can
love this kind of
assemble.
bowl. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you. I have a friend who has this pattern, and his name is Bobby, and he loves these bowls. And so every time I tell him if I'm coming here and I have the bowls with him, hey, I'm gonna showcase the bowls. So he likes the bowls.
Very nice.
All right. So
That
let's
is
put this here.
beautiful.
And here's our thing. Now, it's nice too because you can actually, we have some condiments we can put with that here. Oh, you
Okay.
stick that right there.
Yeah.
And we've got this so we can
There we go.
kind of put it. So now we've got some tortillas. What I did was I have some whole wheat tortillas.
Yes.
And we just warm them. And I kind of keep them moist. I use a little paper towel to,
Good idea.
yeah, I put a little wet paper towel in between them after I warm them up to keep them soft and pliable so that you can actually fold them over and make like the taco or the fajita that you're doing. So we're using some whole wheat sprouted ones. And then we have some condiments. We made our salsa, right? So we have our salsa.
right.
You can make some guacamole and then some plant-based sour cream.
Guacamole.
I have sour cream is actually in the cookbook. We didn't make it on the show today, but it's in the cookbook.
Wonderful. Okay, let's look at these tortillas. So you're gonna assemble?
Oh, you want me to assemble?
Sure.
All right. So we have these
You're
here.
our guest and our expert.
All right. So if you haven't made a fajita, you want to do is you want to take.
Turn this
yeah, let's
aside,
do
just
that so you can
making
see
sure.
that. And we're just gonna stick
Well, look
our
at that.
vegetables. And you can do another thing. Some people like mushrooms in here too. So
What
if
did
like
you say
mushrooms-
out there? What did you say out there? I hear the people saying Idalia needs to have
You need to try this.
No, I'm just kidding. We will after the program
Yes, of
is
course.
over. What a
So,
blessing.
and then
That's
you can do this just like that, or
oh
you can
yeah,
top it with some of these goodies.
Oh yeah.
Bring these
now
over
we're
here.
talking. Come on now.
Little.
That salsa looks so great.
Oh yeah,
so
the salsa.
Uh-huh.
And that was so easy,
This
right?
Yes, and yes, there's vegan sour cream, and you at home can
And
just
that's another.
find it. And
That's another easy recipe in my cookbook.
oh, wonderful! The cookbook, plant-based,
Made simple.
made simple. Nice. Well, look at that,
little-
Chef Carin.
Guacamole.
Nice, perfect.
And here we go. And you can just
Okay.
fold that over and eat it. There you go. And there we go is our
Nice.
fajita.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, while she's reading the recipe and going for the rest of the program, I'm going to sit in the corner and eat that. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Don't desert me in the kitchen.
No, I won't. No, I won't.
In your kitchen.
In our kitchen. Well, we're ready for the next recipe. And this coming recipe, please tell us what are we making.
Okay, so our next recipe is going to be our cilantro lime rice. We have 3 cups of brown rice cooked, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 limes juiced, which is approximately 4 tablespoons, 3/4 of a cup of cilantro, that's chopped, approximately 1 bunch, and 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and that's optional.
Well, I have one key word for you for this recipe. This is the cilantro lime rice.
Yes.
The word is dextronize.
That's right.
What did I say?
Dextronize.
That's right. What does that mean? And what are you doing with that?
And why, right?
Yeah, where's the ingredient?
Okay,
Where's
well,
the dextronize?
we're going to start, our recipe starts with 3 cups of cooked rice, but there's a little trick to cooking rice. You know, especially when we're using whole grain rice. We're using brown rice, and the reason why is because we've got all that fiber, all that nutrition. You know, what happens with whole grains when we have white rice or white flour like wheat, what they do is they strip the husk, which they strip the husk anyway, but then they take the outer part, which is the bran, away. And then they take the germ, which is where all the nutrition is. So we're losing the fiber in the bran, we're losing the nutrition, and then we leave just the starchy part, which is called the endosperm. So what we want to do is we want to get that whole rice. And so if we're doing the whole grain, sometimes we can find that it takes a little longer to cook, or it might be a little tougher. But I have a little trick for that. What I do is I take my rice in a regular saute pan, and I put it in the pan and I toast it dry until it browns a little bit, it pops a little bit, you'll hear a little popping noise. This is not only going to make your rice cook quicker, but it's going to be softer and fluffier. And the other thing is, which is exciting, is that it's easier.
Wait for it.
It's easier to digest. It's good for our health.
Woo-hoo.
So for that reason, we dextronize this rice. You can see that this brown rice is nice and fluffy. So I'm going to stick that right in there.
Yummy.
And we're going to use a little lime, because this is a cilantro lime rice, right?
That's right.
We're going to add some lime juice, some salt.
Himalayan salt.
Yes. And I'm going to put the cilantro in next. And then we have our optional ingredient. I have a little olive oil there, and I'm going to mix that in at the end. We talked about olive oil not cooking it.
That's right.
But so, you know, the flavor of olive oil is again a delicious flavor. And so sometimes I like that little bit of moisture. And so I'm going to mix this all in.
Oh, that looks so good.
And I'm going to add oil. You don't have to, but I
Go
like a
for
little
it.
bit. Just a little bit of that flavor. I told you I was Italian, so olive oil, you don't like to miss out on
Well,
the olive
there's
oil.
a very good quality of olive oil, which is the cold pressed.
Extra
right?
virgin cold press.
Yes, and make sure the container is in a dark container, right? Dark glass.
Exactly. You know, the reason why the cold press is because they press olives like tons of time, 30, 40 times to get as much oil as they can out of it. And so the first press is the most pure, delicious olive oil with the best vitamins. You know, the enzymes haven't broken down. And so we're getting the best quality and the best nutrition.
Excellent.
All right, and here we go. We're going to just put that in there. And this is our nice side dish.
Yes. Nice side dish.
I
So
could have
it's
had you
got
do
that
that, I'm
lime
sorry.
juice and
Yes, and its flavors again, just keeping with the theme.
Yes.
You want to kind of, when you're putting this meal together, I kind of made a whole menu
Yeah,
so that
you
you had a
did.
whole meal.
That's right.
And that you're hitting all the high notes of Mexican cuisine, right?
That's right. Plus, nowadays we're doing a lot of food prep, so this is something you can prepare for your family.
Exactly.
You know, before you go to work prepare for the week. So that is a great option. So
All right.
that was the cilantro, lime, brown rice. And now we're gonna go to the next recipe. What is it? What are we making?
Okay, so our next recipe is refried beans. We'll use 3 cups of pinto beans, or if you'd like, you could use 2 cans of pinto beans, but drain them and rinse them. A half a medium onion, finely diced. We want 2/3 of a cup of water, and you can divide that because you may not use all the water. 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning, or if you don't make the taco seasoning, you use some 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder, and a half teaspoon of salt. We're going to use 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and that's optional.
That's right. Those are the ingredients for the refried beans. Yes, don't be alarmed. I know we say we're not going to fry food and all. We're not going to use the oil. But there's one key ingredient that we're going to use, and that is?
Water.
Excellent.
In fact, we're going to get those started now.
Yes.
Let's get these onions right in.
I love to hear that.
The sizzle.
Yes.
Get those, and I'm going to add that water. And we're just going to get these started a little bit. I'm going to put the whole water thing in there.
Nice.
And we're just going to soften them. That's really what we're doing, is just getting, because it's going to
Get the onions soft.
get them nice and soft.
Okay,
There.
very
And
good.
what I'll do is I'm not going to mix our beans. Now, I took these beans, and these were whole beans.
Yes.
I put them in the food processor. I happen to like my refried beans really mushy and mashed up, but some people like them a little chunky, so I did it halfway. How's that?
That's
So-
exactly how I make it mine now.
There you go. So I'm going to just take this. I want to stick these in a bowl real quick because I want to add in our seasonings.
Oh, I see. Okay. So these are already pre-cooked beans.
Yes, these are
guys.
pre-cooked, and then I can mash them up even a little more in the pan. But I'm going to take the taco seasoning that we
Yes.
have, that we made.
Excellent.
Let's get this. See, it's multi-purpose taco seasoning. See?
Yes, I see
And
that.
we're not putting a ton in there,
Right.
but we're going to add some salt. Again, let me get this out.
Yes.
And we're going to mix that up. Here, actually, you can let you mix
Okay.
that up while I'll keep an eye on our
Gladly.
onions.
But made it work, Chef Carin. Yes. This is really nice because it's a recipe that you can use with different ingredients, main ingredients. The taco seasoning that we're using in these beans. All right, so is that
Sure, we've got
mixing
that.
up?
Yeah, that's fine, because we're going to mix
Okay.
it also in the pan.
Okay.
So we're going to take that, and once now that our onions are kind of softened here, so we're going to get these in. No, that's okay, I can use that. And we're going to just put that right in our pan here. We're going to let these beans heat up. And I can actually have the multi-purpose potato masher in
That's
our,
right.
here.
That's
I
right.
use
Let's
this for
mash it up.
tofu. I use this for mashed potatoes. I
That's
use
right.
it for beans. I use it for many, many things. It's
Very
one of
good.
those things that you really can get a lot of use out of. And so I'm going to just mash that up a little bit. And
While you're mashing up, I'm cleaning up.
there you go. That's a rule at our house. One cooks and one cleans.
That's
and
right.
Ron always has me cook, so guess who does a lot of the cleaning. Now I'm trying to get these onions stirred in, and I'm heating these beans.
Yes.
But remember, I'm not using any oil.
That's
but
right.
I can get a nice little warmth and crispiness actually even on the bottom a little bit, like a refried bean, without even using any oil. Now, if you like that, again, the taste of the oil, as an option, you can add a little oil, but only add it at the end.
At the end.
That's right,
And
because
it's
we're not going to fry these, but we sometimes like that texture, or that flavor. So you can do that. But if you want it oil-free and you want it
That looks
that way,
marvelous. I
there we
love
go.
the way those
So
beans
easy.
look.
I mean, like I said, simple. Simple's my middle name.
Simple. That's
So
right. No,
he-
simple is the name of your cookbook.
That's right.
Plant-based. Made simple
Right,
cookbook.
here.
Very good. So we have the refried beans ready to go.
Almost, yeah.
And we
I'm going to add a little more water.
Adding a little bit of
Just here, we're gonna put it all in. It'll absorb. It'll absorb, but I like it. I don't like my beans a little softer, but you use your judgment.
Yeah.
What you like.
So we present to you the idea, and you will. It's like a laboratory. You know?
Seriously,
Develop what
that's a
you
great way to
prefer.
say it. That's a great way to say it. Okay, so we're gonna see, and there's my beans. They're done,
good.
and I'm going to just turn this off, and then that's when I'd add my little bit of oil.
When the food is done.
That's
and
right.
That is the cold pressed olive oil.
Olive oil. I want to tell you though something about oil really quick that I didn't mention before.
Really?
A lot of times people say, "Oh, but do you use oil in like baked items and things like that?" Because they'll say, "Oh, you said not to heat the oil." The interesting thing is if you use the oil in something like a loaf of bread or
Right.
a cake or a cookie, right? You're using the oil. Do you know the moisture of the other foods will keep the oil from, going to the smoke
Toxic.
point?
Oh,
Yeah. So
wow.
it will they'll never reach that. So it won't molecularly change and it won't have that carcinogen
All right.
effect. So just so you know. And
So it will not molecularly.
molecularly change.
Change.
So it won't become a carcinogen. How's that?
Excellent.
And so you can use it when you're baking and things like, sometimes we oil a pan.
Right.
The moisture of that food should keep the temperature down enough.
Excellent.
But anyway, we have our beans. We can stick that right in a little serving
Yeah.
bowl here. Ooh, let me just do it this way.
Yeah, go right ahead. Very nice. So as you can see, she's pouring out those refried beans.
Right, and
With the cilantro lime rice, also the fajita, soy curl fajita that we made, salsas. Oh, we are in for a treat. You're gonna surprise your family when they come home today. When they try to make these recipes at home. We're gonna share the contact information for our guest, Chef Carin, later on in the program, but we're gonna go to our last recipe. Yes, I said the last one. Sadly, this hour has gone by too fast.
how quick, right?
Yes, but we're gonna share the recipe for the famous Mexican horchata. What do we need?
Okay, for our horchata, we need 1.5 cups of brown rice cooked, 5 cups of water, 2 teaspoons of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom, 1/2 cup of coconut palm sugar, or you can use 12 pitted dates, 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavoring, 1.5 cups of coconut milk, or any plant-based milk of your choice.
Well, this is a very popular drink in Mexico, the horchata, but it's also famous in Central America
Yes.
and South America. These are drinks that I was not familiar with growing up, but it's great to have this option because at the restaurants it's got the dairy, the sugars, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're gonna present to you a healthy alternative. Now, I wanna tell you that we should not eat and drink, right?
No, actually, you don't want to mess up your digestion by diluting those acids. So this is great to have, almost because it has a sweetness to it. I like it like a dessert almost. So we can have it, we can settle a little bit after our meal and maybe enjoy that.
Or even before. the
Sure,
meal.
why not?
So we want to wait at least an hour or half hour?
It's a half
How long?
hour before or an hour after.
An hour after. Very good. Thank you so much.
You're
Chef
welcome.
Carin. All right, take it away.
Okay, so we're going to start again with our brown rice.
Okay.
So we're going to use that. We know we got a lot of good fiber in there. And
That's right. So here we go.
okay, let's do that. And we have some water.
Okay.
I'm going to use 5 cups of water.
5 cups of water.
Oops, I'm spilling it a little bit. Quick.
So at this point, what do we do? Keep
We're
dumping
we're going to everything in the blender.
Okay.
Everything in the
okay.
blender.
Very
So
good.
we also have some coconut sugar.
Coconut sugar.
Now I'm using coconut sugar, and first of all because it's tropical, right? It's from the coconut palm. It's like the
Right.
sap of the palm, and it's really like one of the least processed sugars. It's a little less sweet than regular sugar.
Wow,
It's probably
I
one of the
didn't know.
healthy alternatives.
Nice.
But if you don't want to use this, you can also use dates too.
Oh,
Put
wonderful.
some dates in there, and dates are again high fiber and very sweet, and a little bit lower glycemic than other
Just make
types of
sure
sugars.
it's seeded.
Oh,
dates,
did you-
okay?
I've seen that happen before. If you don't take the pit out of there, it sounds like popcorn.
Oh my.
And it does not grind up. You will break a tooth.
Okay.
So we don't want that to happen. I'm using some coriander.
Yes.
And I'm going to use a little bit of cardamom as well. This is going to be in place of cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Because cinnamon is actually a spice, and we talked about the chilies. Well, cinnamon also too has a an adverse effect on our stomach lining. So we're going to put that, wait, we're not done yet.
Oh, here we are. The student wants to go ahead of the teacher.
That's okay. And our last thing, I'm using some coconut milk.
Oh, coconut
But
milk.
you could use any plant-based milk you choose.
Ready?
Okay, we're going to blend.
Ready, teacher?
We're going to blend. You can take care of that for me because you're right
Yes.
there. We'll get this here ready to go.
Let's make some noise.
That's right. All right, now we're going to strain this because sometimes the brown rice won't, have a little bit of sediment in there. So I'm kind of, you want to pour it, I will put it through the strainer there, and
all right.
I use a spoon to kind of work that through.
Okay, I'm going to pour out, so you guys will, I'll try not to spill.
You're good.
Do I keep pouring? Or?
Oh, here, I'm just going to go like this, and when I do that, kind of, let's see, we'll let that go for a minute, and we'll just see. Sometimes we have a little bit of that rice. This is a pretty thin, a very fine strainer there, so.
So this is what you do, just in case you don't want it lumpy, but it's cooked too.
Yeah,
so
yeah, you don't, yeah,
like...
that's fine. It just makes it a little more, that's okay, a little more, smooth.
So they usually just pack up the ice and drink
That's
it
right.
like that. Is that how you?
Yes, you can pour, we're going to pour, we would pour this over ice.
Oh, okay. Very good. So you already know this
I'm going to wait,
is
watch, I'm
our
going to do this.
horchata. As we mentioned, we're going to come back and we're going to share the recipes that we prepared. But first, we're going to go and get the contact information.
Did you like the recipes that you saw on today's program and want to know more? Well, you can contact LIGHT, that's Light Institute for Global Health Training, at P.O. Box 58, Wildwood, Georgia 30757. You can also call them at 706-820-9804. That number again is 706-820-9804. You can also visit their website at lightingtheworld.org. That's lightingtheworld.org, or email them at info@lightingtheworld.org. That's info@lightingtheworld.org.
Well, a promise we need to fulfill. I said we'd be right back with the final products, and we have the menu we prepared during this hour. The hour went by so fast, Chef Carin.
It totally did.
Where did time go?
I don't know, but now it's time to eat.
Exactly. So we'd like, first of all, thank the Lord for this opportunity to offer these recipes to you at home. And thank you, Chef Carin, for coming, and your family, and Mary, who was here assisting you as well. And thank the Lord. Thank you for joining us. Right now, would you please walk us through what did we make during this Mexican Food Made Simple?
Well, we started with the roasted tomato salsa, and then we had the corn and black bean salsa.
Yes.
Then we made our taco seasoning with our soy curl fajitas, a cilantro and lime rice.
That's right.
Refried beans, and a Mexican horchata.
Yes, we have the famous horchata. And of course, I want to talk to you about this cookbook. You need it for your collection, and it will soon become your favorite because these simple recipes are simple, nutritious, and delicious by the nutritionist, Chef Carin. Where did you get your nutritionist license?
Well, I have a certificate in plant-based nutrition from Cornell University Center for Nutritional Studies, as well as I also studied at the Ruby International Culinary Arts Program under the program Forks Over Knives. And
Forks Over Knives?
I know, everybody's heard of that, and so I was able to do plant-based culinary arts.
Praise the Lord, what a treat. Well, I'm looking forward to meeting you in heaven. But in the meantime, may the Lord bless you as you decide to take that step of faith, right?
Amen.
Someone that's struggling to make that change, what do you counsel them to do?
I say,
in just a few seconds.
Make small changes. I think that it's important to, to really just one little thing at a time. And, as time goes on, our taste buds change. We start desiring healthier foods, and we can go ahead and incorporate them more into our family. Make flavors that people like, though.
That's
Have
right.
flavor.
Exactly. That's the key. We need flavor in that vegan, plant-based cooking, right? So encourage your neighbor, encourage your friends, share the recipe. Why don't you challenge them? Hey, I'm going to share this recipe with you. I'm going to make it at home, and you make it at home, and we can meet together and share that food, right?
Amen.
Well, guys, the time has gone, but I want to tell you that the Lord is faithful and good. He has provided for our very need. Doesn't matter what your struggle is, the Lord has an answer. The Lord is the answer. So we encourage you to visit our website, 3abn.tv, and get the recipes from there. We'll see you next time.